As students, I believe we've all experienced pulling all-nighters, drinking tons of caffeine, and waking up the next day, taking the exam, and just blanking. We all face the crushing pressure of finals week, where a 2-hour window can determine just our entire grade for the semester. Like many of you, I've thought about why is testing such an important aspect for certain classes. We should consider frequent low stakes assessments because it would lead and support academic success. We ought to stray away from these high stakes exams because it creates unneeded stress and fails to measure actual learning. We must recognize that current high stakes exams cause unnecessary stress. To further elaborate, exams cause physical and mental harm. According to research cited by Edutopia, high-stakes exams trigger physiological responses due to stress, which is elevated cortisol levels, which is considered the stress hormone, which actively impair cognitive performance, as well as traps the students in a cycle of anxiety. So this alone is detrimental to a student that is partaking in an exam because they're no longer able to think. They're in just constant fear of whether they're doing the best that they could on this exam. Now, a study by Bethel University found that standardized testing is linked to increased rates of depression, sleep deprivation, and just an overall fear of failure, which overall harms the learning environment. Continuing on, exams don't accurately measure a student's knowledge. According to Harvard Graduate School of Education, large fluctuations in a student's stress hormone on test days mean that the high stakes exams often measure a student's resilience or capacity rather than it does academic capability. Overall, high stakes testing actually rewards the short term cramming style, which means students only memorize information just long enough to pass. So, like in a couple days, even weeks, they forget the information altogether, which completely defeats the purpose of true education. My solution to this problem is we ought to implement frequent low stakes assessments just to fix these issues. Frequent assessments can utilize the testing effect for better memorization. Now, what is the testing effect, you may ask? The testing effect, according to the American Psychological Association, is the phenomenon where taking a test on study material improves retention more than restudying the same material for the same amount of time. So, during a normal test, you have, let's just say, a 3-week period to learn all the material that you have learned in that period amount of time. Now you're constantly going back to material, but also retaking in some of the same material or even new material, and that alone is just too much for the brain. So thinking of doing them on a weekly basis can actually help because you're only taking a set amount of study material instead of a whole bunch at the same time. By introducing small weekly low stakes quizzes, professors can force our brains to repeatedly retrieve information. This solution reduces the academic pressure and just overall provides better feedback. When a quiz is only worth, let's just say, 2% or even 3% of a grade, the debilitating fear of failure vanishes altogether just because it's not so much pressure on one exam. Failure stops being a GPA catastrophe and instead it becomes a valuable data point. In conclusion, considering the change of exams would benefit students beyond imaginable. Our current reliance on high stakes exams is an outdated system that values stress over actual learning. We need to advocate for a classroom environment that prioritizes our growth as students, but also our mental health over a test score. Imagine a semester where you are constantly engaged, receiving regular feedback, and walking into finals week with confidence rather than feeling existential dread. Thank you.